Am I the a-hole for calling my wife unreasonable for backing out of spending Christmas with my family after my mother rejected her cookie sample? Context: for every holiday, my mother would ask the women in the family, my sisters, sister-in-law, my wife, my female cousins, to send samples of the desserts they planned to bring to the celebration for testing and to see if these desserts could make it to the food menu. My wife has been complaining about my mother deliberately rejecting every dessert sample she sent. So many times my mother has told her that she's being honest and keeping the guest's best interest at heart. Yet my wife still thought that my mother is deliberately excluding her since 2 of her dessert samples were rejected before. For this year's Christmas my mother is doing the same thing, but this time, she told every woman who are participating to make a cookie sample and send it to her for testing. My wife took it as a challenge, and to be honest she worked really hard to make a good sample and sent it to my mother days ago, and the results just came in yesterday. I came home from work and found my wife upset. I asked what's wrong and she told me that my mother rejected the sample she sent and decided to exclude her baking from the food list/menu for Christmas this year. I didn't know what to say, but she then told me she was backing out of the invitation to attend Christmas with my family. I was stunned when I heard her make this statement. I tried to talk to her, but she said it was done. I called her unreasonable to decide to bail on the whole family over some cookie sample. That's just freaking crazy and quite unreasonable. We had a full-on argument about it and she stated that my mother caused this, but I told her that my mother is pretty serious and careful about the food she offers to the guests since we are going to have relatives coming from all sides of country. She told me to stop mentioning it. Later I heard her cry despite telling her that her baking is amazing and people have preferences, that's all. Am I the a-hole for insisting that her decision was unreasonable? Info. If you're asking whose cookie sample made it to the menu, the answer is my sister and my 2 cousins. Info: few things to put on here. 1. My wife wasn't the only one whose sample was rejected. We have sister-in-laws, brother's wife, and my younger sisters. 2. My mother did not force anyone to participate, it was up to whoever wanted to take part. 3. This is just about the dessert since my mother tends to be very careful in this category, but for other types of foods. Dishes/appetizers/salads/stuff like that is welcome, as she stated. Update: great, so I just got off the phone with my brother and he told me that his wife is doing the same thing as my wife and that she has decided to back out of the invitation to spend Christmas with family as well. Turns out my wife must have told her about her decision and she decided to follow her lead. My brother is pissed, saying my wife is encouraging his wife to do this. I see that the problem has just gotten bigger now. Who knows, my younger sister might join in and decide not to go as well. I don't know how this got out of control so quickly. I guess we'll try to have a discussion with my mother about this soon and see how it goes. The top comment is: that's just freaking crazy and quite unreasonable. Do you know what's crazy and unreasonable? Your mother's weird bullying food sample power trip. Yes, you are the a-hole. And your mother is too. The second comment is: yes, you are the a-hole. Your wife has been telling you for years that your mother has been rejecting her. She has gone out of her way to make something good and your mother's pretentious Christmas menu leaves her out every year. And now you can't understand why she's devastated and doesn't want to go to Christmas with the people who make her feel so bad. It sounds like you just said, guess my mother just doesn't like your cooking. Deal with it instead of you dealing with your mother. What kind of Christmas requires samples to be sent for approval in advance for the menu? Your mother sounds controlling and frankly I wouldn't want to go to family Christmas there either. The third comment is: yes, you are the a-hole. The hell kind of tradition is this? This isn't Chopped/The Great British Bake Off/ etc. This is a time for family. No wonder why your wife doesn't want to go. Am I the a-hole for pretending not to understand a joke so that my stepsister's boyfriend would have to explain it? I, 18F, live with my dad, his wife Hannah, Hannah's daughter Grace, 20F, and our younger brother, 8M. Grace really only comes to stay on the weekends since she's in college, and this time she brought her boyfriend Isaac, 21M, with her. I'm biracial, my dad is white and my mom is black. Honestly, I don't look anything like my dad, so most people don't even think I am mixed. We like to joke that I got his personality instead of his looks. People tend to say offhand stuff to me about how I don't look the way they think I'm supposed to. I'm kind of used to it, especially since my dad ended up married to a woman that is also white, so like every time I'm with them it obviously looks like I'm the odd one out. I'm not afraid to correct people, but sometimes that gets exhausting and I'll just play dumb instead. Grace and I had planned to get lunch together and her BF Isaac ended up coming along with us. She wants him and I to get to know each other better since she really likes him, so I figured that's why she brought him. While we were having lunch, my mom's side of the family was brought up, and then Isaac said that it must have been a shock to my dad, at least for me, to end up so dark since most mixed kids are lighter in complexion than I am. But then he said that at least I ended up with good hair, so I didn't lose out completely. Grace didn't speak up and say anything to him about it, so I pretended not to understand what he meant and asked what was so good about my hair and what it was he thought I was losing out on anyway. He got flustered and said, well, you know, most girls with your skin tone have curlier hair. So then I asked why he thought my hair was good just because it wasn't that curly. He said he felt it just looked nicer. So I asked why he thought that textured hair didn't look just as nice. He kept blubbering out excuses and digging the hole even deeper for himself, and finally Grace told me to cut it out and leave him alone. I paid for my part of lunch and left after that. I didn't tell my dad or Hannah what happened, but it's obvious enough that Grace is mad at me. My dad asked that she and I solve whatever the problem is, because he hates seeing us be so tense around each other. Grace ended up telling me that she was pissed because I made her boyfriend look like a jerk by playing dumb. I told her that I didn't have to make him look like a jerk because he already was one, but she said that I drew the problem out more than necessary and made it worse than it needed to be when I could have just told him that he effed up. I mean, I could have done that, but I don't think it should be my job to, and plus I feel like it was probably more effective to get him to explain his logic out loud rather than have me tell him he was being a jerk. Grace is insisting that I should have just told him point blank, and BC I didn't, she thinks I'm in a hole. Edit. My dad just texted me to ask if something happened at lunch with Grace's BF, so I'm pretty sure when him and my stepmom get home later, I'm going to tell him what happened since it seems like he already knows something did. Also, I do want to say that my reluctance about telling my dad and Hannah isn't because I want to protect Isaac or anything, it's because Grace is my stepsister and I care about her. I know she really likes this guy and I really only feel bad BC even though I know I didn't really ruin anything for her, it feels like I did. The situation just sucks I guess. Edit 2. I ended up telling my dad and Hannah what happened when they got home, and they both told me that I did absolutely nothing wrong. Hannah said that she would talk to Grace about it, and my dad basically said that Isaac was no longer welcome anywhere near our house. Dad also gave me a mini motivational speech where he reiterated that I look perfect just the way I am and that colorist/texturist/racist bigots have no place in our family or our home. Grace drove back to campus a while ago, so I guess Hannah is gonna call her later to talk with her about what happened. The top comment is, "Hi there. I am also biracial, black and white, and was raised by my blonde-haired, blue-eyed white mom. So I can empathize with having to deal with very frequent micro, and sometimes macro, aggressions. Playing dumb is often the most effective way to get people to comprehend their own prejudice." Grace is angry because she has to either admit she is willing to accept that her boyfriend has these beliefs, unfortunately common for people to think this way, she and her boyfriend may both need to work on their own beliefs, or maybe end things. Probably not unless this was a tip of the iceberg comment. Anyways. Good for you. Not the a-hole. The second comment is, "Not the a-hole and well done. Isaac was being racist, and he made himself look bad." The third comment is, "Not the a-hole. You did him a big favor by humiliating him and forcing him to reflect on his racism. If you'd called him a jerk he could have just got mad at you and moved on. You dragged it out and he's going to keep feeling it. Maybe it won't change him, but there's a chance that it will. You don't owe him anything, but you went above and beyond in giving him an opportunity for personal growth. Whether or not this was your intent, you were exceedingly generous. Hopefully he learns from it." Am I the a-hole for requiring a cash deposit to come to TG dinner and uninviting my sister and her husband because they refuse to pay it? I'm going to be vague because I don't want to turn this into a political debate because it's not one. I'm hosting TG this year and everyone is excited. My house is in a warm location near beaches, so everyone in the family is excited to get out of the cold and dig their toes into sand. My family is large and as expected, we all fall under different parts of the political spectrum. We might not agree with each other on some issues, but we treat each other with respect and love. That is, except for my sister Carrie and her husband Bob. They strongly believe in their politics and view anyone who doesn't agree with them as being wrong and need to be taught to be correct. Even family members who are in the same political party are wrong if they're not in 100% agreement on every issue. Every get-together turns into a heated debate with them on one side against everyone else, even with the people who vote as they do. Frankly, it's exhausting and life-draining just to be in the same room with them. To head off any political debate this year, I included in the invitation email a ban on political discussions and a request for a monetary deposit of $500. I picked this amount because everyone can afford it, but I wanted it to be a painful loss if they lose it. I stated that this money will be returned at the end of the night if politics are not discussed. Whoever brings up politics will lose their deposit. Everyone agreed and sent me the money except for Carrie and Bob. They replied that this was stupid and they don't have to pay a deposit to come to a family gathering. I answered, since it's my house, it's my rules. We went back and forth until I got tired of it and uninvited them. I'm here because they have children who will be affected by my decision and my parents are trying to talk me out of it. They want to see all of their grandchildren and they think it's cruel to prevent Carrie's from coming. They even offered to cover Carrie's deposit, but I firmly told them no. Am I the a-hole for requiring a deposit to come to TG? Edit for more info. 1. Sorry all. I was trying to stay under the word count restriction. TG equals Thanksgiving. 2. Everyone paid and Carrie is better off that some who did, so there are no what if they can't scenario. 3. Only my parents are staying with me. Everyone else is renting their own lodgings. The Thanksgiving dinner will be 7 to 9. People can come earlier to help and hang out and stay later to help clean, but they can also come for only 2 hours. 4. I thought about banning them, but like I said, there are other people in the family who are in their political party and that might look like I'm banning that party. That's a ripple effect I don't want to see. I thought that the deposit is best because they'll either pay and shut up or not pay and ban themselves. The top comment is, she should donate the money to the opposite political party of the person who lost it. Then they can know then funded someone they oppose. The second comment is, not the a-hole. You're allowed to have boundaries. No one else thought it was a problem until they made a fuss. I have relatives like that. I'm laughing while I imagine how that would go over at my place. Face with tears of joy. The third comment is, how about you invite them and when they become obnoxious, you ask them to leave? Grandma sees her grandkids, everyone else is happy they are gone and, most importantly, Bob and Carrie will understand immediate circumstances for their ill-mannered behavior. Am I the a-hole for giving the silent treatment after my GF son spilled in my car? I got a new car earlier this year and it's the first big item I've bought for myself. It's my baby and I take good care of it. This weekend I had to drive to Town B for work. To get to Town B I have to drive through Town A, which is where my girlfriend's mother is, so my GF asked if I can give her, my GF, and her son a ride there to visit her mother. We left yesterday and before leaving I reminded both her and her son of my #1 rule, no food in the car. She said whatever, agreed, and we went off. On the way her son complains about being hungry, so we stop at a gas station and the two of them go off to quickly grab and eat something. After about 20 minutes they come back to the car and both holding slushies. I stop them and tell them that they can't drink that in my car, and she says they can't possibly finish it fast enough without making us more late and that she wasn't even willing to do that. This resulted in a back and forth of arguing and the ultimatum was to leave them there or to suck it up. I gave in and let them in, cautioning them to be careful. After about 30 minutes her son drifted off and dropped the melted slushie all over the back seat. I yelled fuck and pulled over to clean it up. After cleaning it up I got back in the driver's seat and just drove. I was bloody livid but knew fighting or arguing over this wouldn't solve anything. Still I was in no mood to talk, so I just remained silent for the rest of the ride, only giving short answers when spoken to. I dropped them off at her mother's and kept driving. When I reached my lodging I saw a message from my GF calling me dickhead for giving them the silent treatment and making her son feel like shit over an honest mistake. Am I the a-hole? The top comment is, not the a-hole. You clearly told them no food or drink before they got in. If they were hungry, they could have had water or something with a cap or lid. Did she even offer to clean it? She should have used that opportunity to teach her son respect for someone else's property instead of expecting you to give them a free pass. The second comment is, not the a-hole. Your car, your rules. I also don't allow children with food and drinks, other than water, in my car. When your GF gets a car of her own, she can allow her son to trash it. The third comment is, not the a-hole. You made it very clear how important the car being clean is to you, they ignored your boundaries and exactly what you were afraid of happening happened. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter she has to go see her mom? My ex and I got divorced when our daughter Emma, F14, was a few months old. At first she had primary custody and I had Emma every weekend. When Emma was 9 she told us she wants to spend more time with me and we decided to have her every other week. When she turned 10 she told us that she thinks spending the weekend with a parent was better, but she wants to spend the weekends with her mom and be with me the rest of the time. After that she told us that this is too tiring for her and she wants to go there every other weekend. A year ago she decided that she wants to go there once a month. Now she is telling me that she doesn't want to go there at all. I told her that can't happen and she has to go see her mom. We got into an argument and I got angry and told her unless she goes to see her mom I'm going back to our original custody agreement and she has to live with her mom. She called me in a hole but went to her mom's home and now she won't answer my call. The top comment is, so, as her parent, why aren't you looking into why she doesn't want to go? This seems like it should be your very first question. Edit for judgment. Yes, you are the a-hole. The second comment is, I'm looking at the comments you left, and I have to go with yes, you are the a-hole. You knew your ex's son is bullying her, and your ex allows it because it's sibling rivalry. That's crap, because you're enabling the bullying by not listening to her, and you're not trying to rectify the situation. You're punishing her for their behavior. I understand you've changed the custody rules, but you also have to understand she is getting older. Once she becomes of age, she might go NC with you because you failed to protect her from the ex and the siblings. You have a lot to think about, and hope you make the right decision. As of right now, you aren't making the best decision for your daughter. Yes, you are the a-hole. The third comment is: info, have you tried to find out why she doesn't want to be with her mom? This really seems like there's something going on over there to make her not want to go at all.